Welcome, here's my list of the top games that were never released for one reason or another. Keep in mind that they're mentioned in no particular order and aren't ranked in any way. Starting with the most recent disappointment, Scalebound was an action RPG in development with a huge sense of scale in its combat. Being made at the time by a well-established developer of action games, Scalebound appeared polished in many different ways with regards to combat, style, direction, level design, and so much more. In fact, only from a technical side did it appear to have any real trouble. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, the game was cancelled and a potentially epic action RPG appears to be a game that could have been, but never was. After Banjo-Kazooie, we got quite possibly one of the best sequels that came to be. Banjo-Tooie was a surprisingly awesome successor to Banjo-Kazooie, and, although it's never been confirmed, the hints of being a Banjo 3, and not the nuts and bolts title that we got, were pretty frequent for a period of time. There is a spiritual successor called Yooka-Laylee, being developed by many of the original members who made up Banjo-Kazooie, but I just don't think it'll quite hold up to the charm that Banjo 3 would have had if it had still been made. This one's received way more attention than I ever thought it would, so I'll make this one pretty quick. After the incredibly frightening PT demo with Kojima, Del Toro, and Norman Reedus, we found out about how the new title to be made, Silent Hills, was in development. From the incredibly frightening demo to the successful and well-established creators and actor, Silent Hills looked to be a title to kickstart horror to a new level and standard we probably haven't even seen before. Konami ruined all of that, though. Still, we do have Death Stranding to look forward to, being made also by Kojima, Del Toro, and Norman Reedus. And with Sony publishing, I seriously doubt this one will have a similar fate. Even the titles that Sony gives less attention to than they should, like Until Dawn, they still get made with a seemingly high budget. Still, that original epic horror that we could have had, we don't have, and will probably never be here. While on the subject of horror, Dementium 1 and 2 were well-received horror titles on the Nintendo DS, and some people started to wonder about a third title. The developer at the time, Renegade Kid, mentioned the possibility of a third game, but unfortunately in 2016 they closed. There's another developer that now owns the IP to Dementium, so it's technically possible to have a third Dementium title, but based off their inactivity, I wouldn't be enthusiastic. And finally, as a bonus mention, because the games themselves were made, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask could have been expanded drastically. Technically, these games obviously came to be, but if these titles were fully developed for the 64 disk drive, like they were initially planned to be, they could have hugely changed from what we received. Imagine if we had these epic titles, but even more ambitious than they ended up being, and with additional temples like an ice temple instead of a mini dungeon in Ocarina of Time, and expansions extending the experience even further. This is what the Nintendo 64 disk drive could have allowed. And that's all for this video. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments, and always remember to have fun.